Everyone. This is Devika, and today I want to talk about a very important topic, which is how can you scale your business to a world changing legacy? I know a lot of you watching this masterclass are the ones who got into entrepreneurship because you want to make a real difference. You are someone who really feel your expertise, your own experience in life, in business, your perception is something that's needed out there in the world to make this world a better place to live, to solve a real problem or multiple real problems that people face. Many of you who Many of you who interact with me and watch my masterclass, I know you are here, of course, to make millions and billions, and sky's the limit literally for you. It's not even the limit. But your primary driver is building a legacy, and you are someone who really wants to create a positive change in the world, at the same time creating a ton of fulfillment and freedom for yourself and your family. And if you are that kind of a person, I would love to continue in this masterclass with you. I am someone that I just love speaking with people who are creating legacy in the world, as well as wanting to create a lot of fulfillment and freedom for their own selves, because my big theme in my life and my business is balance, which is why I named my company Balanced Evolution, because I feel we all can evolve and help others evolve in a balanced way where it's not either you win or I win, it's we win together. I, as an entrepreneur, win by creating a life of freedom and fulfillment, not just for myself, but for my family. And I, in return, also help my clients, even the world at large. I know so many of you are active participants in philanthropy, in charity, even though you don't talk about it loudly on social media. That's something that I really like about you all. So I know the kind of people I attract in my circle have these characteristics, these traits, these core motivators in them. And because of that, I have been in this online industry of coaching, consulting, even business development for the last 7 years. And what I want to say is that in the last 7 years, I've worked with a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs. And at the same time, I've also worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who are just in it for money. And on the other hand, I've also worked with entrepreneurs who just wanted to serve the world by depleting themselves. And something I've realized is, again, about balance, is the most sustainable, the most fulfilling, and the most successful version is where you can create a win-win situation for both, where you can create freedom, fulfillment, success, wealth for yourself. I mean, yourself, your family, your posterity. And at the same time, you can also create all of that for the world. You can make this world a better place than you found it. You can bring in a lot of change in this world. You can help a lot of people who could use your support, your expertise, your experience, your mentorship. This world is a better place because of you in it. And at the same time, while you're helping so many other people, serving other people, you're also serving yourself. And I feel that is the beautiful balance which I've learned in the last 7 years. I've dabbled a lot in the last 7 years. If you want to understand a little bit about my background, I started as a copywriter somewhere in 2018, and I was in my corporate job back then. I was working in Fortune 500 companies as a fresh MBA graduate. I quickly realized that even in copywriting, emotions are what connects with people. Even though back then I was learning a lot of these copywriting frameworks, you might have heard of them, IDA and Hook and whatnot. But none of those frameworks really would help me or my clients that I wrote copy for, not as much as the stories that I wrote in them. And that quickly took off. I built a multi six-figure business within 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I would say, with 95% profit margin, just doing that kind of storytelling copywriting. I even went on to create a lot of courses, group programs, teaching my style of copywriting back then, until 2023, when something happened with my health that I just could not continue because I was not well at that time. And that was a journey. And I'm now looking back, I'm so grateful for that journey, because had I not gone through that journey, I would not have been able to come and create what I'm going to teach you today, and how to effectively scale where anything can happen, life can happen, because life honestly is unpredictable. Anything can happen. Your business will still self sufficiently run. Your revenue is going to come in self sufficiently without needing your day to day operations. Because to be very honest, your expertise, your experience, your perception, your thought leadership, they are highly, highly important in the world. And with the kind of scaling strategy that I'm going to teach today, this is designed in such a way that no matter what happens in your life, which honestly can happen anytime. Like, I was running a really successful business. I was even working as a fractional CMO for some extremely successful entrepreneurs before I fell sick. And then I realized that at one point I was so sick, and I was running this multi six figure one-to-one programs and masterminds and group programs, which were dependent on me, even though people would join and they could watch the recordings of my course and my program. But because my brand loyalty was built on my face and my personality, they they all came in for me, and I was not available that time because of the situation that I was in. So does that mean personal brand is not a good way to grow your business? No, I don't agree with that. I think personal brand is amazing to grow your business with operational efficiency, with systems, automations, tech, lean team building. A lot of people talk about team building, and I've heard some people say, after a level of mm, 500,000 a year revenue, start having it. You have like 4 or 5 people on your team or 10 people on your team. I think that's a lot to handle, especially if you're a coach or a consultant, and a lot of that, a lot of that is unnecessary. So again, the balanced approach is you have a lean team. You have a lean system, streamlined operations, and those things are simple. What happens is, and this is something that I've realized when I did come back after my health improved in 2024, I came back as fractional CMO, and then I was also working as fractional COO for some entrepreneurs. I realized I could merge those two. I could merge the kind of strategy, the kind of bird's eye view I was giving with marketing as a fractional CMO, and also with my some other clients where I was hired as fractional COO, kind of like a business integrator. There were also this other whole piece of the systems part, the operational efficiency part, that was absolutely needed with marketing. Like, marketing is, I feel today, after 7 years of my experience and having made multi-millions for my clients in sales and business growth, I feel marketing is incomplete without operations. Operations is incomplete without marketing, and your entire system, team building, and your tech system integrates both of these. So I'm going to actually teach you this today. I've created a signature framework, or rather a roadmap for scaling, because this is where my experience is as of today. I am a business strategist. I am a high performance coach for high achieving entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs that have big vision to scale their business without working more. Entrepreneurs like you who want to scale your business because you know that you have something beautiful that can change people's life, that can bring something good in this world, that can help someone and solve a real problem out there. And more people should have access to what you're offering. However, you're limited by the amount of work you actively can do in your business because you're too much in the day-to-day operations. And you don't need to be somewhere. If you're having 20 clients every month at this stage, you could easily scale it to 100 to 200 clients every month and impact more people, make more money, impact more people, get more freedom, and scale your business sustainably so that you have more time for your own well-being. You have you have so much freedom, personal fulfillment. A lot of you started your business because this is something that is your core passion. I had a client once, not honestly, a very recent client actually finished the project just a couple of months ago. She was a successful restaurateur in Mexico. And she left that restaurant business to start as a divorce coach because she's so passionate about the kind of difference she's making in people's life as a divorce coach. She felt like she's really making a big difference in the world, which is true. She was, and she is still making a big difference in the world with her divorce coaching more than the successful restaurant business that she was in. So she exited the restaurant business. She started her divorce coaching business, and that was booming. And then she reached a point where she could not take more clients at a time, even though she had a lot of demand, because these exact systems and operational efficiency was not created in her business. And that's when I came in the picture to create operations and team efficiency, systems, tech, project management, all of that, so that she could increase from having around 25 clients per month to 150 to 200 clients per month without increasing her working hours, without increasing her involvement in the business. And that meant more impact to her because, yes, of course, that meant more revenue for her, of course. But that also meant a lot more men over there who are getting divorced, getting the emotional support that they need. That meant a lot of positive change in our world, especially because she was telling me this amazing stat that every year, I think in US alone, there are 4 million men or couples being divorced more every year compared to the previous year. I don't know, please don't quote me on that stat, but it was a very alarming number. And imagine so many people going through that kind of heartbreak and emotional pain. And she's able to make a real difference in their life through her program by creating this kind of operational efficiency that we were working on. Because by imbibing the kind of systems, tech, and operations, and the marketing strategy and the operational strategy that we were working on, she could then have potentially not just 200 clients per month, but thousands of clients per month. And thousands of these men who are going through unwanted divorce would then feel supported. They would get that kind of community. They would get her signature framework to navigate such a difficult situation in their life. And I know a lot of you watching this masterclass are serving people like this client of mine. You guys are someone who are doing this business because you know your expertise, your signature framework, your thought leadership, your intellectual knowledge is going to change someone's life for the better, is going to make the world a better place. And for that, you cannot keep your business small. That would be disservice. You need to expand your business. You need to scale your business. And today I'm going to walk you through the 3 stages of expansion and how this is something that I've designed after working with close to 75 clients, I think 80 clients, close to 75 to 80 clients in the last 7 years as a marketer, as a fractional COO, as I played a lot of roles in marketing, operations, business strategy, basically. And I want to help you today. So let's begin. Okay, so this is a small Google Doc that I've created so that I can show you what I mean by the 3 stages that I've designed and how you can. It's basically not a cookie cutter thing that everyone has to follow. The beauty of this framework that I've created is something that how you can customize it according to your goals, your aspirations, and your particular business as well. So this is not something where you have to exactly follow this, and I'll teach you how you can customize this as well while I'm talking about it here. Of course, if you have any questions after watching this masterclass, please feel free to email me or send me a DM on my socials, on my Facebook or Instagram. I'm always available over there. I'm just trying to increase my face here. Oh, that's not happening. Let's just give it another shot. Okay, so the first step is ideation and testing phase. This is where you're just starting your new business. This also applies to new offers, to be very honest. This is I call it the ideation phase because this is where you are testing product market fit. This is where you have an idea and you know this idea is a solution to a very real problem in the world. You have researched this idea, you've gained expertise, you're someone who's highly qualified or experienced in this particular niche. You've gained your personal experience as well as professional experience in this, and you're here to solve this problem. It could be a product, it could be your own teaching methodology, it could be your thought leadership, it could be a course, it could be your one-to-one coaching, consulting, anything. In this phase, why do I say you're still in ideation or testing phase? It's normally when you are in the 0 to 100K revenue top line. This is when you've not yet hit your first 6-figure mark, because you're testing product market fit, because you know that you have a solution to a very real problem in the world, but you have not learned how to fit it with how the market can perceive it, with how your target audience can perceive it and pay you for that solution. Because as a business, you want to get paid. Capital is the backbone of your business. And if you want to get paid, even though you know you have an extraordinary offer which can solve a very real problem, you need to understand how to fit it and position it in your market so that people pay high ticket or the kind of pricing you want for your offer. And that includes curating an aligned offer, knowing how to position your offer in the market. Why are you different than the other people selling and solving the same problem? So what is different about your offer, your expertise, your competitive edge? And then how do you portray your offer? What's your messaging like? How do you showcase your unique methodology, or the kind of people do you help? How do you how do you show that this is exactly the kind of person I help? If you're this person, my offer is for you. How do you show that? That's your messaging, basically. I have a full free masterclass about messaging. If you would like that, you can just DM me messaging. I'm happy to send it to you. How to curate messaging that impacts your ideal audience. Then also, this is the most important part, honestly. This is how do you test your delivery process? Because a lot of this can be learned. You can learn how to align your offer. You can learn how to position your offer. Even if you are an expert, which you are, you'll know your competitive edge because you're here to solve a real market gap. So you know your competitive edge. You can even learn messaging. Like I said, I have a free masterclass about messaging. You can even learn how to refine your messaging. But the delivery process is something that you have to do. Because even though a lot of coaches and strategists, even like myself, I can teach you a lot about delivery process. But the real test comes when you do it. Because every business has a unique way of delivering to their clients. And that is what is part of your competitive edge, the way you deliver to your client. And many times when you're starting out, you cannot predict this. You cannot predict what is your unique edge in delivery process. You can only do that while doing the delivery. And you'll have to test a lot in this delivery. Like one kind of delivery is how do you onboard your client? Another kind of delivery is how many calls or how much touch point are you giving? How much close proximity are you giving? Are you giving them chat support or not? If you're a coach and a consultant. So you have to test your delivery process in this. And this is, I feel, the most important part of the step 0, because many times, believe it or not, your delivery process defines your entire success in this stage. If your clients are happy with the delivery process, if your clients are happy with the kind of service, the transformation they are getting from you, they will re-sign with you. You will retain them. They'll send you referrals, word of mouth marketing. You're going to go viral from here. So delivery process is actually very, very important, because other things still could be learned and could be taken from templates. This, even though could be learned to an extent, I would say like 20% extent, but majority of this has to come from real experience of working with your clients, being in the ground and actually doing the work and delivering to your clients and seeing the transformation they're going through in real time. So this is the stage of rolling up your sleeves and putting in the work. Honestly, yeah, this is the stage where there cannot be any reducing working hours. This is when you're building the foundation of your business. This is a stage where even if you don't have any fancy systems, that's fine because you're experimenting. That's why I call it the testing phase. And then comes stage 0. So stage 1. That's why I call it stage. I wrote it step over here, but actually it's stage. That's why I call it stage 0 and not stage 1, because this is where you're just building the foundation. You're building the ground level for your real business. I mean, your business is real over here as well, but you're building a business as an entity that can grow beyond you, that can support you rather than you supporting the business. So if you are wanting to create that kind of business, this is stage 0 of that, where you're building the foundation. Now, stage 1 is the important stage that I want to talk about here. I have a lot to talk about this stage because, as you can see, this is the stage I help most of my clients, and most of my clients are in growth and scaling stage. And this is the stage where I am a master in, and that's why I broke this down in 1.1 and 1.2. Because believe it or not, growth stage is different from scaling stage. Growth stage is where your focus should be mostly on automating, productizing, and systematizing your business. I'll tell you very quickly what that is. So growth stage is where you've hit your first, in this stage 0, you hit your first 6 figures revenue. And now you're aiming to have anywhere between 250K to 500K, $500,000 per year USD. And in this stage, this is, the revenue that I'm giving here for each stage is more like a ballpark because there are exceptions possible in this revenue stage. I have honestly seen some companies, and those are exceptions. I've honestly seen some companies in 5-figure stage be in growth stage. But I've also seen some companies in high 6-figure range still be in ideation and testing phase. So, of course, there are exceptions possible, but this is generally the range that I've noticed, at least with so many clients that I've worked with. This is generally the range that I've noticed. So normally in 1.1 stage, you're in growth stage and your main focus should be on automating, productizing, and systematizing. This is where you're growing beyond your first 6-figure revenue, and your aim is to make anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000 per year. At this stage, you have tested your MVP, which is your minimum viable product. Your product would be is actually your offer, your mastermind, your one-to-one package, your group program, anything, mix of all. So you have tested your MVP or your offer and you have found the product market fit from this stage 0. There is absolutely no doubt that your product is already solving a very real problem in the world. Your product has created demand. I'm going to call your offer a product over here because for coaches and consultants, I said at this stage you should focus on productizing. I like to use the term product, but when I say product, I mean your offer. So I'll interchangeably use product and offer, those terms. They mean the same. So you have created a very real demand and you're actively solving a problem that people are paying for. There is no doubt that people have recognized that your offer, your product is valuable. It is solving their problem. It's wanted in the market. You know how to position it in such a way that people recognize its value and there is demand for it. So now what you have to focus on is removing yourself from the day-to-day operations as much as possible. And how do you do that? These 3 things. So focus on creating your signature framework, your intellectual property. Now, while in this stage, you would have probably worked with a bunch of clients anywhere. If you're in the high ticket range as a coach or a consultant, you would have worked with 10 to 20 clients by this stage, and doing that kind of work, one-to-one high-touch work with 10 to 20 clients, you would have noticed some signature framework, signature methodology, or some unique selling points, USP, that people come to you for. That is your edge. That is the foundation for building your intellectual property, building your signature framework on which you can actually productize your offer. Now, what is the difference between productizing your offer? It has less customization. Earlier, if you were a coach doing just one-to-one offers, now you're going to make it a hybrid mastermind. Let's say just an example, because in this mastermind, you're going to have some group element. You may want some kind of one-to-one element as well as some pre-recordings of some masterclasses that you have taught. And 80% of this offer is now productized because the productized version of this offer is having masterclass replays, having the group community element, and also has some group calls where you do hot seat coaching while having this 20% one-to-one custom element. So there is a lot less customization in this offer. The less you customize and the more you productize, that is the focus of this stage. You also start outsourcing repetitive tasks that doesn't require your creativity and expertise. So now this is a stage where you need to become very ruthless about what are some things that requires your creativity, your intellectual property, your expertise. Anything else should be outsourced to systems, team, technology. That's it. That's really easy. Sometimes, actually I've seen people think that this stage 1 growth and scaling phase is hard because they have to understand a lot of technology, automations, how to hire, how to train your hire, how many hires to have, what does a lean team look like for your business? It's really not that difficult because the biggest thing that I say in this stage, whether you're in growth stage or scaling stage, is to keep it as simple as possible. Literally, simplicity is going to be your biggest winner at the end of the day. And this is something that I tell all of my clients who hire me, who are at this stage, that how can you make things simple? Because probably in this stage, you have to do a lot of work by yourself. This is a hustling stage, no doubt in that. Now, moving in from stage 0 to stage 1, you probably still have that identity of being in hustle and doing everything yourself. So it's hard to delegate. Delegate not just to your team members, but also to systems automations, because delegation is first a mindset, then in action. So when I'm actually working with growth stage and scaling stage entrepreneurs, I start with delegation mindset coaching and then create a full customized strategy for them to create this kind of automation, productization, and systematization of their business. Because without that delegation mindset, these systems, these automations, or this kind of team building is not going to help them. Which is why I say I'm not just a strategist, I'm a coach. A lot of mindset work is needed over here. Your identity is completely changing here, because with every stage, there is a massive shift in your identity as well. How you perceive yourself. What does your leadership look like? A lot of my clients over here in the beginning, when I'm doing their coaching, the delegation mindset coaching, we do a lot of leadership work as well. We get clear on the kind of leaders they want to be. There are different types of leaders in the world, but who you want to be, what kind of leadership is best aligned for you, what kind of leader do you want your legacy to build on. So we do a lot of leadership work as well in this stage. I've not written a lot of that over here because it's more customized work at this stage that I like to do with my clients, and that's really intense in the beginning because it involves a lot of identity shifting, mindset work. So basically my work involves both that mindset leadership coaching as well as the strategy that I'm just showing you over here, which is focus on your signature framework, your intellectual property, start outsourcing repetitive tasks, invest in systems, automations, and team. But I have one thing to say over here, which a big mistake I see entrepreneurs do, especially with the growing age of AI and technology. You'll see a lot of software companies out in the market who are trying to sell to coaches and consultants, and they're really expensive. There was this client I was working with once. She spends around $4,000 every month on software alone, funnels and automations and chatbots and whatnot. Honestly, all that is not needed. You don't need to go full blown and extravagant on softwares. Yes, you need software, you need automations, but there are ways to reduce your expenses over there. So if you feel you're spending a lot of money on softwares in your business, I would just like you to ask yourself, how much of it can you do away with? How much of it is not absolutely necessary? Because if you are in this stage of 1.1, you may not need a lot of softwares and automations, but you need max 1 to 2. So always focus on what are the top 2 software, the top 2 automations I need, and that serves me the best. And of course, be cost effective with that. So being cost effective over here, which I want to write here, is very important, because you want to be lean in this stage. I wouldn't suggest you to be cost effective and lean in your enterprise stage over here, which I will get to. If you are someone who wants to get to this stage, I wouldn't ask you to be cost effective and lean over here. If you're I wouldn't even push cost effectiveness so much in this stage, depending which range are you in. If you're in the 200K per month range, I wouldn't go so much with the cost effectiveness. But in 1.0, 1.1 stage, yes, cost effectiveness is important, especially with the biggest mistake that I see with growth stage entrepreneurs making at stage 1.1 is hiring and firing really fast. That is a huge cost to your company, because you may think that you hired someone and you fired them within a month or 2 months and you just spent what amount you paid them for a couple of months. But the kind of energy and time you invested in that hire and the fire is a lot costly to your company. So begin your first hire, but also be cautious about the people that you hire. Who are you hiring? What role are you hiring for? Be clear in the kind of role that you're hiring for. Without getting clear about the role and the job description of the person that you're hiring and how to vet the right person for that job role, I would say hold on, do not hire. Maybe just get a consultant. You can speak to me if you have any questions about this to get clear on who your first hire should be. Many people say it could be a VA. I don't agree with that, because many times a VA being a first hire does not help. I mean, for some people it does. It really depends on case to case basis. But I know for one fact, when I was doing my copywriting work and I wanted to expand, a VA was not a good fit to be my first hire, and OBM was. So it depends who is a good fit to be your first hire. So this is an area where you need to educate yourself more, learn from the right people, hire a consultant to get clear on who should be your first hire, what kind of vetting process and job description you need for this area, so that ultimately when you do hire someone, it fits your budget, it gives you the kind of support and the service that you do need, and it is sustainable. It lasts long and you can depend on them, basically. Another mistake that I see here is hiring and quick firing, experimenting a lot with hires. That's really costly to company, and also experimenting a lot with automations and tech. That's another costly mistake, because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs at this stage, get influenced by someone being an affiliate of a software. They sign up for that software. They are a few months on it, and then something happens. Their traffic increases, or it's not giving them the kind of features they initially wanted but didn't realize. Now they have to move on to another software. The migration is very costly in the first place. The experiment itself causes a lot more of your time and energy, which you don't want that kind of unproductive thing in your business. So when it comes to software and tech or automations, stick to the rule of two, top two. No more than 2 softwares and automations. With team, I would say at this stage, if you're going for this range, you actually don't need more. If you're a coach and consultant, you don't need more than 2 to 3 team members. 3 team members max. You don't need more than that. I've seen some of my clients do very well with just 1 team member, the founder, and 1 team member. That works very well too. Max anywhere between 1 to 3, I would say. Because again, you want to be lean in this stage. I'm not the kind of business strategist who would ask you to hire a lot of people here and then add on more responsibility on your shoulders at this stage. Basically, you want to be lean in this 1.1 stage. Now, this was the operations side. The marketing side is you need to invest in increasing traffic to your offers. So if you were using organic marketing or word of mouth referral marketing so far, majorly, this is one area where you need to increase how you send traffic to your offer, to your web page. Are you using paid ads, or are you doing more speaking engagements to tap into other people's audience? Are you doing some kind of guest blogging or email swaps? There are a number of ways how you can increase your traffic. Collaborations, partnerships, joint ventures, many ways. But the whole intention is increasing traffic, because a lot of times I do see people who talk about growth and scaling in business, either just talk a lot about marketing or operations. But we want both over here, because both go hand in hand. So invest in increasing traffic to your offer. This is the most important. Diversify client acquisition. Start dabbling with outsourcing some parts of client acquisition and onboarding as well. So again, this is where I don't agree that necessarily your first hire has to be a VA, especially with AI advancing so much. Today's age, you may not need a VA as your first hire. You could, again, depends on your particular business. But I've also seen some of my clients who never needed a VA as a first hire. What they did need was someone who was good at doing some parts of their client acquisition and onboarding, because that was taking a lot of time for the founder, and the founder was not enjoying that part. But it was important for their process, because maybe they had a luxury mastermind or a very high ticket VIP offer, and that required a VIP style of client onboarding as well. So an OBM, maybe more an experienced VA, or we sometimes call it executive assistant also. A more experienced version of a VA is an executive assistant or an OBM. They are going to help you with this part. If you feel client acquisition on onboarding is something that takes a lot of your time, you may want to look for someone who can help you with this area. If not entirely your client acquisition, but some parts of it. Social media manager also comes in client acquisition part, like a social media manager who has some sales background. Not every social media manager does that, but some of them do help with lead generation. So a specialized social media manager who has lead generation ability and experience as well, or a social seller or something like that. Again, depends on your specific business. And this is also where you prepare your business to take on 5x more clients with sustainability while reducing your working hours, because this is a stage where you need to build the foundation for taking on 5 times more clients with sustainability, so that you don't have to work more. You could actually be working less and taking on more clients. And that is why this productization is very important, because if you have not productized your offer, then taking on more clients is not going to help. It's going to burn you out. It's going to form big cracks in your business, and your clients may not be happy at the end of the day, because the quality of the delivery will suffer. So we want to avoid all of that negative area. We want to grow, take on more clients. If you're, for example, at this stage, if you're already taking 10 clients per month, you could prepare to take on 50 clients per month with everything that I just said over here without working more. So yeah, that was stage 1.1. Let's move on to scaling stage 1.2. I have a cute little diagram over here that I would like to discuss. Now, Growth stage, we were focused on automation, productizing, and systematizing. In scaling stage, your big focus should be on monetizing your USP and just scaling. And by scaling, I mean expanding. Whatever you have built here in stage 1.1, in 1.2, you must expand. 5x, make it 10x, 10x, make it 20x. Because if you have built your foundation well over here, it will be easy to expand it. And how do you expand? By monetizing your USP. Most likely in the stage 1.1, you would have realized your huge USP as well. And that combined with the operational efficiency and the traffic system, the traffic building system that you've built above in 1.1, it will help you expand. I wouldn't say rapidly, but sustainably. It could be rapid in some cases, but the most important part here is you will scale sustainably, with more freedom, with more fulfillment, and creating more impact in the world with your expertise. And obviously, your revenue is going to increase. Obviously, like if you're taking 100 clients per month versus 20 clients, your revenue is definitely going to increase. So at this stage, you're already earning 200 to 500K per year from what I have discussed over here. And you want to increase to 100 to 250K per month, which is absolutely possible. And this is where you come in the scaling stage, 100K to 250K per month. So 6-figure months. Now we're talking about 6-figure months. Instead of multi-6-figure years, we're talking about 6-figure months here in 1.2 stage. Why? Because you already know you have a competitive edge. You're very well aware. You're laser focused on your USP. You have an industry defining edge that can change lives and businesses. You know that your USP is absolutely needed. It's in demand and it is life changing or business changing. And you're very clear how to position it in such a way that people are recognizing its true value. You know your IP is needed, your intellectual property is needed, customer acquisition is not a problem at this stage. If you have any issues with traffic building, customer acquisition, you're not in scaling stage yet, you are in growth stage. Because in scaling stage, it's all about expanding and customer acquisition is not a problem. Yes, you will need continuous effort in this. You will probably need to hire or do it yourself or have automated systems like paid ads or something like of that sort for customer acquisition, where you keep checking your ad sets or your content creation from time to time. Or even if you have a client experience manager who gets on calls with your prospects, you will have to train them time to time. So you'll have to be involved in some pockets, but not entirely. And that's why customer acquisition won't be a problem at this stage. Few examples are, for e-commerce, I can say that, for example, Amazon, when they were selling books, because they were primarily a book selling company online, while selling books, they realized their main edge is logistics. It was not books. And this always happens, even with coaches and consultants. When you are in 1.2 stage, maybe you started as a life coach, and then while delivering life coaching to your clients, you realize you're really good at leadership. And your main edge in life coaching was more about life leadership, for example. So you really come to know your natural gift, what probably in the beginning, most likely in the beginning, you may have not recognized, but your clients will recognize it for you. This happened with that coach who was my client, who was a divorce coach as well. She was a relationship coach. And by the time she reached her growth stage, her clients actually told her that she's very good at helping people who are going through separation and divorce, because that is a very nuanced niche of relationship. It's not separate from relationship coaching, but it is a very specific laser-focused niche. She herself was never divorced. She was happily married, but her skill set, her experience, her natural gifts were very aligned with people who were going through separation and unwanted divorce, even though she started as a relationship coach. So this is that stage. For some people, it happens somewhere between transitioning from 1.1 to 1.0. For some people, it happens in 1.2. But naturally, somewhere in this stage, you will always realize what is your edge. 99% of the times, as a coach or a consultant, in the beginning, you may have not known, but along this stage, you realize what is your real edge. I'll take my example. I started as a copywriter, as I said, 7 years ago. And by the time I reached my growth stage, I realized that people actually hire me for storytelling. After that, I transitioned into email copywriting, email marketing. People were hiring me for that big picture business strategy because I was really good at sending traffic to their offers. I was a traffic person. So it was not just my copy that they were hiring me for, but they were also hiring me for that strategy of creating that whole system of sending traffic to their system. Because if there is no traffic coming to their offer, who's going to read the sales page copy? Who's going to read the emails that they're sending out? And that's why they would hire me. But I was not aware of at that time that I was good at traffic back then. I got to know it later. And that always happens, especially in coaching and consulting and service providing niche, I feel. And that's why I like using this example where how Amazon started selling books and they realized their main edge is logistics. This is also the stage where you start defining your brand values to create loyalty for your brand as much as you as a founder. So this is where, as a personal brand, you have built that know, like, and trust, and people know you, people like you, people trust you, and they want your expertise. But this is also the stage where you should, and it normally also happens, people start having loyalty towards your brand and your intellectual property as well. Because in this stage, they have realized that you as a subject matter expert are very valuable to them because of your intellectual property, because of your brand or what you stand for. If you have a movement, a lifestyle movement that you promote as a coach, or your signature framework, or your any kind of intellectual property that you have created, or your community, the kind of community and the kind of support you give in the community, that's your edge. People start recognizing you for that along with your personal brand. And that is such a good thing to have here, because then you're building loyalty towards your business as an entity along with loyalty towards you as a founder. The entire delivery and the entire sustainability of your business is not just purely on your shoulders. It's now getting distributed to your brand's shoulders as well, which is something we all want, because our business is a whole individual, is a whole entity beyond us. And we want brand loyalty, not just for ourselves and as the founder, but also for our intellectual property, for our brand, for our business as an entity. This is also the place where I do recommend you start creating hierarchy in teams. If you have multiple team members, like here I said 1 to 3 team members. Scaling stage, again, this scaling stage depends on very specific businesses, but let's say if you are a consultant or a coach, then in scaling stage, I would say max 5 team members, not more than that. Because again, I'm not so much about being cost effective here, but I'm very much about being lean here, because you're still in the scaling stage. I wouldn't say this for enterprise domination. I wouldn't say that be lean in enterprise domination, but yeah, here you have to be cost effective and lean in 1.1. In 1.2, you need to be more lean and not so much cost effective, because you will realize that at this point, your time is worth so much money. And this is one exercise that I make my clients do, to realize that how much is their per minute cost? How much is their per hour cost? And every 1 hour, if they are wasting in, let's say, hiring or firing, or conflicts in team, or even conflicts in their personal life, how much money have they lost in that 1 hour of conflict or 1 hour of confusion or inaction? So I work a lot about productivity here in this stage as well, because productivity is going to be a huge game changer for you. And 1.2, overall productivity is important. I wouldn't say it's specifically for entrepreneurs in 1.2 stage, but in this stage, it's especially important. So if you have, let's say, 5 to 6 team members, you'll need some kind of hierarchy in your team, because you want to put some people responsible for decision making. You don't want to be involved in decision making in which you're not required, in which maybe your managers can do. You need to have leaders and managers and executives in your team, and you could basically have those people, your managers and executives, take a lot of the decisions in which you as a CEO and founder are not needed. What you as a CEO and founder are needed are for high level decision making, for growing your business, for scaling your business. You're not required in the day-to-day business decision making. And this is also the space where you can start hiring fractional CMO, fractional COO, fractional CFO is a must in this stage. You need to have a legal team. You need to have a finance team. You need to have a marketing department with the head of the marketing department. And yeah, well, it sounds a lot. It doesn't have to be. You could have, as I said earlier, you could have 5 to 6 full-time team members and contractors, maybe like 3 to 4. So total 10 to 12 team members, with some of them being 1099 contractors and some of them being W2. So a mix of W2 and 1099 here in this stage. And yes, you need departments, because you cannot be involved in taking marketing level decisions or finance level decisions or operational level decisions in this stage. What you need as a CEO is to be at the expansive stage, be at the scaling stage, and choose the right people. Because if you try to DIY your finances here, it's going to be a massive problem. Your CFO will be the right person to advise you on your finances, on your tax, on your taxes. You cannot DIY that kind of stuff at this stage. You need a legal team, because this is also the stage where you should invest in creating assets like trademarks, patents, if applicable, IP, copyright, custom app, institution, incubators, corporate tie-ups. And it doesn't have to be all of these, but more likely or not, you'll have some of these at this stage. And these assets require a lot of legal work. Your contracts will require a lot of legal work. At this stage, you cannot have contract templates. You'll need customized contracts by your legal team. So that's why I created this, the 3 circles, because these 3 circles are something that helps you understand how to function well at 1.2 stage where you're expanding. You need your tech, systems and ops, which we have already talked about. Your team building, which we have talked about over here, how you create hierarchy, how you create fractional COO, CFO, or even a full-time COO, CFO, depending on your business. And get very clear on your scaling model. What kind of scaling do you want to do? Do you want to have, do you want to scale with more high-touch, high-ticket offers? Do you want to scale with more mass level, like low to mid-tier offers, with more traffic, like a mass level scaling? Or do you want to scale with more franchising or licensing, maybe licensing to corporates? Or do you want to scale with your high-ticket offers with more people in your mastermind, your group programs, but at a high-ticket level? So you need to also get clear about your scaling model over here, because you need to choose one model first to begin with. I felt like using this example of Sarah Blakely of Spanx. She actually started as a solopreneur. Then her scaling model was licensing her intellectual property of Spanx to retail outlets. So instead of creating her own retail branches everywhere in US, she started licensing her intellectual property to retail outlets. That was the beginning of her scaling model. Later on, of course, they had a lot more scaling models, but in the beginning, I suggest one scaling model. As a coach and a consultant, I do recommend selling proximity until you start making 100 to 250K per month, because at this stage, people are still wanting your presence. People are wanting access to you, and they are ready to pay a really high amount to get access to you, your expertise, your personality. So until you reach this stage of 250,000 per month consistently, you need to have some level of proximity in your scaling model. After that, you can, if you want to, enter this level, enterprise level, where you can start transitioning from being a personal brand to an institution or enterprise, where your personal brand, your proximity is not needed in your offers. However, you can obviously do well with this stage as well, to 250,000 per month, and have proximity, some level of proximity in your offers. You don't have to scale into stage 2. If you want to, you could. You could always stop here and be consistent over here. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are happy being at this stage and maintaining their success at this stage. And to maintain your success at this particular stage of 1.0, you'll need to have some kind of proximity in your higher tier offers. You can have some courses, low tier, mid tier groups where your proximity is low to none. But normally in that, people do need something where they can ascend to and pay more to get proximity to you, some level. It's just my opinion. And obviously, giving proximity does not mean you have to burn out. You can absolutely do that with efficient operations and streamlining. You would technically need to have max 10 to 15 hours of client work per week to get to this level. If you're working at this level more than 15 hours per week, that's the problem with your operations and streamlining. Because technically, I say not more than 10 to 15 hours per week for this level. So keep it as simple as possible. Simplicity is going to be your huge, huge asset in this stage. As I said before, you could stop here at this stage and go on forever. But if you do want to move to stage 2, which is enterprise domination, you need to start shifting from personal brand to institutional brand. And that's not for everyone, which is okay. Not everyone wants to shift from personal brand to institutional brand. That is fine, but I know some people who want to. There are many benefits of moving to enterprise level. A good example is how John Burson, his consulting firm, he sold it to Deloitte, because the biggest benefit I see, and this is the in-between stage, because this is where you need to decide, do you want to keep going like this or do you want to move to enterprise level? One of the biggest benefits of this is your ability to completely remove yourself from the business, where you are not even required as a face on your marketing. Because if at this stage, the 1.2 stage, even if you are not involved in the day-to-day operations of your business, your face, your personality, your presence is still required for speaking events, for marketing, for live events, for conferences. You're still required as the face of the company. Your presence is still required. And that sometimes can be exhausting for some entrepreneurs. Sometimes life happens and they're not able to do that. It's exhausting after a while. Some people just want to not be the face of the company after a while. That's absolutely relevant and understandable. And that's when they start getting motivated to transition to enterprise domination. I've worked with some clients who wanted to move from 1.2 stage to stage 2 of enterprise domination. This part is for them. John Burson was one of them. You can read his case study online. John Burson sold his company to Deloitte. So a very amazing thing that happens with this stage, if you do want to move to enterprise level, is you get to have an exit strategy. Why? Because if you stop at this 1.2 level, you don't technically have an exit strategy. Your exit is just leaving the company and trying to sell your lower ticket courses and offers without your presence. That's not really a full-on exit strategy, because your business then is able to run successfully at that stage of revenue if you are running it to some level, even if it's just 10 hours of work per week. But the moment you completely take off, your business gets massively hit. And that is the lack of exit strategy, which honestly is, again, not for everyone. Some people like having that kind of lifestyle where they want to work 10 hours per week to maintain that level of their business. They don't want to go beyond that, which is absolutely fine. But there are also some people who, after years of doing that, they realize even that 10 hours per week that is required of them is, or 5 hours per week, which you can go on to 5 hours per week, that's required of them, is becoming a burden. Because a lot of things happen in life. Like I went through my sickness in 2023. Your family could be going through something and maybe you need 6 months or a year off from business. But for that whole year, if you're off business as the founder, you still want your business to keep growing. That's when you need to enter the enterprise domination phase. This normally, I think, in my opinion, from my experience of working with clients, comes at 8-figure to 9-figure level. This is the area where, as a founder, you completely remove yourself from your business and focus completely on global expansion. You're not even required as the face of the business. You run a company that is self-sufficient with its employees, executives, board of directors. Your clients come in because of your intellectual property and signature frameworks. A lot of these ICF coaching and certification institutes actually run on this model, because the founder of the certification institute is not present in the institute, but they are teaching the ICF coaching style based on what the founder created as a signature framework. But there are other coaches who teach that, like head coaches who teach that. And the company is running without the founder. So at this stage, you could hire a CEO and step into the founder role. So you don't even need to be the CEO anymore. You could hire a CEO. Some people call it country head or division head, and you just become the founder. Your big focus here is expanding to different industries, markets, building a lasting legacy, the one that lives and grows beyond you. So basically, if you are of that vision that I want my business to be such a long-lasting legacy that it lasts 300 years, 400 years, 200 years beyond me, like even after I'm gone from Earth, it still creates massive difference in the world and makes the world a better place. Also, it doesn't require your active presence, not even the 10 hours per week. A good example over here that I've written is Sir Richard Branson. So that is a good example of scaling Because I feel, in my opinion, having done my research about Sir Richard Branson, he has actually gone through all of these stages that we talked about over here. And he is right now in enterprise domination stage. He started when he was just 16 years old with Student Magazine. Then he did mail order records. And that's when, with the success of mail order records, he started Virgin Record Store in 1971 when he was just 21 years old. That was the first Virgin company that he started. That's when Virgin as a brand name started to become solidified. And then from a records company, he made a music production company, which was Virgin Records label. And then he diversified into transportation with Atlantic Airways and cargo, which became very popular at this time. And then he further diversified into holidays, trains, mobile, Virgin Mobile, and in different industries as well. Galactic, which is a space expedition company, media company, which offers broadband, TV, phone services, money in terms of banking and financial products. So you can see he has gone into so many industries globally, different industries, different markets, building a lasting legacy. He's not actively required in any of this. He could not work for years, and all of these companies will grow without him because of this model. What you can do as a coach or a consultant, if you are someone who wants to create an enterprise level domination, you don't have to. If you want to create, you can start looking at licensing deals, franchising, in-person events and offices, how you can franchise your in-person events, your teaching models, your signature models to other institutes, to corporates, have corporate teaching contracts. I know some ICF institutes have tie-ups with corporates and universities where they send their coaches, their employees to go and train people in these companies and universities. You can have certification institutes. So these are some options that I can suggest if you do want to expand into enterprise level. I have a lot to say about this, but I think for the sake of this masterclass, this enterprise level is enough because my main focus here today was the stage 1.1 and 1.2. And because I know a majority of you watching this masterclass belong to this stage 1 level, and I know this is where this particular masterclass can rapidly help you. And of course, let's talk about my offers now. If you want to work with me, you just need to send me a DM over here. I'm going to give you my Facebook link. You can just send me a Facebook DM. This is me, Devika Saha. You can just DM me over here and we'll talk about how you and I can work together. Right now, I have one-to-one offers at this stage, and they start anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 per month in offers. Normally, the range is $3,000 to $4,000 per month at this stage, with 3 to 6 months of contract. And I would love to talk to you if you are in this stage and you want me to work with you. Send me a DM and let's talk about how I can help you in either in your growth stage or in your scaling stage with my strategy and coaching. So I'm a business strategist and a coach, and I help a lot of entrepreneurs in each of these stages, in all 3 stages, expand their business, grow their business, while creating a lot of freedom, fulfillment, and large impact in the world. Needless to say, yes, you will grow your revenue. But what is more important here is you will grow your impact. You'll grow your freedom. You will have so much freedom with the operational efficiency we'll create, with the kind of traffic strategy we are going to create. You're able to step into that next level identity with the kind of mindset coaching that I'm going to work with you on. So yes, if you liked all of this and you want to work with me, then send me a DM to Facebook and let's talk.